Hello, welcome to the 88th episode of the series Decolonizing the Mind. I'm doing a sub series on philosophy, and uh, this episode deals with social knowledge and social interaction as a source of knowledge. I explained in the beginning that in the Western canon and Western philosophy, the different sources of knowledge has been reduced to observation and reasoning. I'll talk about that later on in more detail, but I want to show that there are other sources of knowledge that doesn't play a role in Western science. It's not being taught in universities, but are relevant from a decolonial point of view. And I dealt with the common sense and innate knowledge as two sources of knowledge. And today I'll deal with social interaction as a source of knowledge. So, what is social interaction, social knowledge, social epistemology, if you like? Social knowledge is the knowledge that is produced through interaction with others and cannot be obtained by an individual. Now, in the canon of Western philosophy, you have the scientists. The scientists, be it an individual or a collection of individuals, they conduct experiments in the natural sciences or they collect data in the other disciplines of science. And then from the data, they interfere theories to understand the data. And then from the theories, they construct a hypothesis to test the theory with new data. And that's it. And this can be done by an individual researchers, or a collective of researchers. But the source is observation and reasoning. Now, social knowledge says that the source of knowledge can be interaction between individuals and communities. So it contradicts the notion of an individual acquiring knowledge through observation and reasoning. It says the source of knowledge is the interaction. Now, mind you, in the European philosophical tradition, there were people, philosophers, who argued that there is social knowledge. Aristotle, for example, says that knowledge and ethics, because then in his view ethics is part of knowledge, emerged through communal life and a dialogue between people. And it was a slave society, the society in which he lived. And he talked to the enslavers, so it wasn't about the enslaved. And then the Scottish founder of empiricism, David Hume, acknowledged that custom and habits are foundation of knowledge. Social practices, not pure reason, shape human understanding. But what happened with these philosophers who acknowledged social knowledge as a source of knowledge, and specifically ethics, they got removed from knowledge, and so it's deleted. I always look at how other philosophical traditions from other civilizations look at issues of knowledge. And in the Chinese tradition, social knowledge is seen as inherently embedded in roles, rituals, and collective flourishing. And Confucius says that knowledge is tied to social roles: the ruler, the subject, the parent, the child, the friend, with other friends. And the Analects, is compared to the dialogues of Socrates. And in chapter 12, verse 11, it says, "Let the ruler be a ruler, the subject a subject." So understanding one's duty is knowledge that arises from the social interaction between the people involved. And in Analects chapter 19, verse 6, he says that knowledge grows through dialogue, mentorship, and collective reflection. And the Mohist tradition, founded by Mozi, emphasizes that verifying knowledge via witness, historical records, and practical outcomes is part of knowledge production. So the interaction with the others produces the knowledge. In the Indian philosophical tradition, in the Vedas, knowledge emerged from dialogue and testimonial rituals and embodied practices, and the priest, the chanter, the participants co-create meaning, and they link social harmony to cosmic order. In the Upanishad, knowledge arose through teacher-student dialogues, emphasizing solidity, revealed thread, transmitted orally across generations. And wisdom lives in the practice of yoga rituals and not just in texts. And the practice as social interaction. It's not individuals, it's a social interaction. In the African philosophical tradition, knowledge is produced by a community. Memory, dialogue, ancestral presence, that is all seeking a relational balance. And this saying, I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am, interlinks and puts the individual within the context of the community. The individual derives his existence from community. And knowledge emerges from relational harmony, not isolated thought. And then truth is validated by its capacity to nurture community. In Yoruba, social knowledge is channeled via rituals where priests decode communal wisdom through sacred dialogue with deities. And disputes are resolved through open air assemblies, and truth emerges via consensus building, not coercion. Truth meaning, a lot of it is about what is the correct relation between people, a community, what should you do, how is it related to ancestors and deities, and from there the ethics and how to structure society is derived. Now, how do we view social knowledge from a DTM perspective? So first of all, we say social knowledge is obviously applicable not in every situation, but specifically when you talk about social relations. And then the other part is when you create knowledge through collective reasoning and creativity. For example, the knowledge about social relations. Descartes described the question of reasoning based on an example of how to interpret dreams, how to look at dreams. But he looks at dreams as a dream of an individual. So from DTM we would say, suppose you are the only person in the world. How do you know if you are dreaming or not? So obviously if you are the only person, you can't distinguish that, you don't know. Only when somebody wakes you up, only if there's another one, then that interaction gives you the knowledge about whether you're dreaming or not. And another aspect is Columbus. Columbus, is he a hero or a criminal? How do you answer that question? And that depends on the social position from where you speak. You need to understand the colonization of the mind, where the Europeans saw him as a hero because they were the colonizers. And that is a social position, it's not an individual position. And then collective reasoning. People make use of collective reasoning and social knowledge, although they are not aware of it. And brainstorming is a technique for collective reasoning, for understanding, for finding solutions for problems. So there we are, where we use a lot of brainstorming with a group to find a solution for problems. By excluding social knowledge as a source of knowledge, you limit the understanding of the world. And that is what the Eurocentric canon is doing. So the next episode will be in a month's time. I'll be visiting China in the month of June. I'm looking forward to it, talking to friends there. But it will take a few weeks before I'm back and restart this series. Thank you for your attention.